this straight to Mumbai, and both Sanjay and I come from Mumbai. It's after many years that Assocham has a leadership from Mumbai, and I do hope the Mumbai bug, the city that never sleeps, vibrancy of Mumbai will come into Assocham's working, and we can see it really championing the cause of industry, championing the cause particularly of MSMEs. My best wishes, Sanjay, for your tenure. And I do hope, and I see a lot of youngsters also in the room today, I do hope amongst the various things that, of course, we'll discuss as we go along, we also look at entrepreneurship. MSME University is good. It'll help train people to address the challenges of MSMEs. But I think what attracted me most when I was having a conversation with the Italian minister 2 days back, trade minister, was the fact that with the Israeli trade minister, what attracted me was that despite being a small country, their focus on innovation has held them in good stead. And he was proudly saying that they have one startup for every 1,000 people in the country. Now, we are right now at one startup for every 10,000. It's not a very difficult journey to cross. Every day somebody comes up with a brighter and better idea how to do things. Somebody may jolly well come up with a better idea on organizing an event like this at half the cost that probably you paid today. Somebody may jolly well come up with a better idea on how we can rapidly take rooms to the remotest corners of India and promote border tourism and attract people to go into treks, into the hills, into the forests without messing up the environment. There's so many possibilities. So maybe one of the focus areas in your tenure could also be how do we get the entrepreneurial bug in our young men and women and get them out of the job-seeking mode into becoming bolder and willing to address the challenges of the country and willing to take risk, willing to accept failure even if it comes. But I do see that as one additional aspect to the wonderful report that you have presented today. I was looking at the challenges faced by MSMEs and some of the solutions, both. And I was reminded of a debate we had yesterday in Parliament. I was to present a bill amending, or rather constituting a new law by repealing a 1923 Boilers Act and replacing it with a 2024 Boilers Act, just about 101 years later. And it reminded me of what the Honorable Prime Minister had said on 15th August 2022, when we celebrated 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Very often it saddens me that we've not been able to take this message of confidence right down to the last man at the bottom of the pyramid in the remotest part of India about what the Honorable Prime Minister said on 15th August 2022. And I'm reminding you of his clarion call when he spoke about Panch Pran, the 5 guiding principles or the 5 commitments that we as a nation, we the people of India, give unto ourselves as we move into the Amrit Kal, our journey towards Viksit Bharat 2047, Bharat at 100, that Assocham has picked up as the theme today. I'm just connecting the dot between yesterday and today because even in the Boilers Bill, what was the effort? And it's not as if I claim that everything has been done only by our government. It's been a continuing effort. Of course, as Deepak said, the speed of change and the openness to adopt newer ideas has possibly been far bigger and more in the last decade or so. some sense, the country is evolving itself as we move along to try and make it easier to do business, to try and simplify processes, reduce compliance burden, decriminalize the laws. All of these will be enablers which will help not only the MSMEs, but all of us. And at the end of the day, as we do steps towards ease of doing business, those steps automatically lead to ease of living for all of us. And yesterday when I was trying to address some of the points that were raised by the opposition, I remembered the Panch Pran actually giving us enough guidance in what should be the roadmap towards Bharat at 100. If I may quickly recount the Panch Pran for any of you who may not have got up at 7:30 in the morning on that day, he had articulated very simple principles, which if we all take upon ourselves as our mantra, can help us also change the way we live and work. The first was to decide as a nation that we want to be a developed country by 2047. That has to be a collective decision of 1.4 billion people. जब तक हम सब सामूहिक रूप से इस प्रतिबद्धता को नहीं स्वीकार करते, अपने आप से नहीं होगा. India as a developed country by 2047, being the collective vision of 1.4 billion people, at the outset needs one common understanding, and that is to shed the colonial mindset that we have inherited. Sadly, a lot of the things that we do, a lot of our way of working, on a lighter note, even the way we dress, since I just did a convocation on Saturday and I had to put on the robe and the cap and all of that, and then I suggested to the Chancellor, there's probably time we had our own Indian dress even at the convocation ceremony. No reason for us to be wearing a British gown. A small thing, but it's the thought behind it that will help us in change the way we work, the way we live. And if we all agree to shed the colonial mindset, the third principle that the Prime Minister spoke about was remembering our history, our traditions, our culture, our heritage. We have a rich family value system, for example. We all still care for our family, our brothers, our parents, our children, our grandparents. India doesn't need 1 million caregivers like the developed world today is looking for. We are the caregivers for our parents, for the older people. And there's so much to learn from history, so much to adopt in our lives from our traditions, that itself can transform our lives. Let me show you a simple example that at least all of us and those in the first 2 or 3 rows will resonate with surely. Maybe the younger people may not have faced that type of a problem. But Sanjay, when we were young, maybe in school or college, if we ever left our room without switching off the light or the fan, I don't know about you, but I got a slap on my face. Nothing less than that. बिजली खराब कर रहे हो, बिजली वेस्ट हो रही है, पैसे की कदर नहीं करते हो. स्मॉल थिंग. आज तो हम आधा घंटा पहले ड्राइवर को फोन करते हैं. एक आदत ही पड़ गई है देश में. थोड़ी सी समृद्धि आई, गाड़ी आ गई, थोड़ी और समृद्धि आई, ड्राइवर आ गया, और ड्राइवर आ गया तो भाई, और मोबाइल तो सभी के पास है, तो भाई एसी चालू करके रखो या हीटर चालू करके रखो, मैं आ रहा हूं. Look at the transformation. Now, somebody, an economist may jolly well turn around and say, consumption will drive growth and that growth will lead us to a developed nation. But then we also have sustainability at the back of our mind. We can't be encouraging waste. I have held a very, very considered view, and I've said it on all international platforms, that rather than blame the manufacturer for causing greenhouse gases, carbon, pollution, and all the mess that we are seeing around, it really relates to consumption. The developed countries may have outsourced their production to other countries and are today talking about the pollution generated by coal-based power plants, but they failed to realize that they became developed country on the back of all the low-cost energy that the coal-based power plants gave them for over 100 years as they industrialized their economies. And today, while talking of sustainability, without providing the finance, without providing the technology to help the rest of the world to adopt sustainability, they continue to have 10 times more pollution per capita than the developing countries or less developed countries, but still talk about the world should be responsible for the problems that we are facing. Whereas we in India are such a conscious nation that for hundreds of years we have respected nature. We have, in fact, almost revered nature. Nothing short of praying to the sun god, to the wind god, to the trees, to the mountains. We have for all these years realized the circular economy. I'm sure many of us would remember our own experiences where we would never throw a piece of garment. It would always be laundered and made sure that somebody else can use it who needs it more. But even then, the Indian woman would not give a soiled piece of garment. She would actually launder it or clean it herself, iron it, and then give it to somebody else. That is the consciousness that India brings to the table, the rich family value systems, our traditions. Prime Minister Modi had only said that let's try and remember all the good things that our history taught us. The fourth and very important note was about the unity and integrity of India. Sadly, we have people in the country even today with very, very, I would say, ulterior motives to divide society on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion, on the basis of language. And I say this with pain because we've experienced this kind of a fake narrative being tried to be propagated in the country. I dare say in 10 years, we've had so many programs, as Sanjay ji just mentioned, social welfare programs, political programs. We've had so many reform measures across the country. We've taken food to the poor free of charge, 80 crore poor getting free food, 55 crore people getting free healthcare. Now add another 12 crore who will get, those who are above 70 years of age, who will get an additional 5 lakhs per family. We've taken electricity to every home. We've taken cooking gas connection to every home. Water is being taken to every home through the Jal Jeevan mission. Jan Dhan accounts were just now mentioned. Every family was first ensured that they have an account. Now almost every adult in the country would have their own account. 93 crore people are using internet in the country today. 93 crore, not a small number. And 4G has penetrated the length and breadth of the country. And I dare say better 4G connection that you get even in the developed world. But in none of these programs will you ever find that there was discrimination on the basis of caste or religion or creed or any of that. The deserving got it. The government did not even get involved in identifying who will be the beneficiaries. It was decided at the village level, at the local level. It was made transparent and publicly known, so that should there have been any mistake or any deliberate attempt to favor one against the other, in today's day and age of social media, there would have been an outcry. Have you ever heard a single instance that somebody was discriminated on any basis whatsoever in 10 years, on any government program? And that is the unity and integrity that this country yearns for. Trying to divide the country on caste basis, demanding caste censors, demanding reservation on the basis of religion. These are things which have really outlived their shelf life. And I think the recent election results reflected also a little bit of feeling amongst the people, particularly of UP, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Haryana, that they let down Prime Minister Modi for all the good that he had done for 10 years. The fact that in Maharashtra the result is well before you. It was a sweep and a result which was historic. We've not seen it in the last 50 years. In Haryana, much against everybody's predictions, we came back into government. In Rajasthan, we had 1 out of the 7 seats which went into by-polls in the assembly. We won 5 against 1. In UP, we had 2 out of the 9 seats that went to the by-polls. We won 7 out of those 9, only to show that there was a feeling in the country to demonstrate that that fake narrative that was sought to be propagated during the Lok Sabha election, which sadly did resonate with some sections who got carried away, will not work. A fake narrative, a falsehood, can only survive one cycle. Second time around, you get found out. And therefore, the unity and integrity, the 4th principle, is very important if we have to reach our goals of Bharat at 100. And ladies and gentlemen, the 5th narrative, the 5th principle, was about our collective endeavors, our effort. It will need each one of us to recognize our responsibilities, to contribute to making India really a great nation. And therefore, I think if all of us were to accept that this principle will help us in our work, then all of us, whether he's a government servant, a politician, a business person, a worker, a farmer, a service provider, all of us will start doing our job better, smarter, more efficiently, honestly. And just think about it. I saw the challenges faced by MSMEs, accessing finance and the guarantees that you were suggesting. I think we already have significant schemes promoting and offering finance through government-backed guarantees. If every banker was to be a little more responsive to actually make that finance available, I don't think the MSMEs would have that great a difficulty. If borrowers were a little more responsible about paying back the money that they borrow, and you remember what we had inherited in 2014, the non-performing assets and restructured evergreen loans collectively were over 13-14% of the loan book. And who pays for all that? End of the day, the big borrowers are always able to negotiate better and finer rates or threaten to borrow from somebody else. It's the MSME which has to bear the burden of the cross. It's the MSME which has to be loaded, or it lands up getting loaded with high interest burden. I would seriously wish that all of us would also become whistleblowers. There's a point about dealing with corruption amongst the challenges. We need to raise our voice. If an officer is not moving your file quick enough, you need to raise your voice. If your proposal is not getting acted upon in time, you'll have to raise your voice on the merits of the case. If our case is on merit, nobody has the business to delay our proposal, our file, or any of the activities that each one of us is doing. Starting a business, we've made an effort to make it easier to start a business, to close a business, but would love to have more specific feedback, what more we can do. We are responsible to all of you. And we are looking for concrete suggestions, like was put up in that slide earlier. And we'll act on each of the issues that were suggested. I agree with Sanjay or Deepak, who said that the states will have to play a greater role. But we are willing to engage with the states also on your behalf. Once we get the lay of the land, where are the problems, where are the difficulties, what are the specific areas or offices which are creating a problem. And I can assure you that all the issues complying with regulation, we started a national single window. I suspect not many of you would have even made an effort to look at it. If some of you would have made an effort to look at it, you would have realized they may have some difficulties, there may be some challenges, navigation of that portal may not be very good or may be good. Your valuable feedback can help us improve a national single window and help you as you grow your business, as you move along. Ultimately, tali to do haath se bajegi. On my part, I've invested huge amount of money, huge amount of personal time to create that single window. And Sanjay knows, I've said it on earlier occasions. My pain comes from the fact that you don't use it. And when you don't use it, I don't get any feedback whether it's worth its effort or not. Similarly, there was an issue about finding skilled labor. The Prime Minister came out with his schemes to help the skilling process through apprenticeship schemes, through encouraging young men and women to become employable for particular skill sets of their choosing. But it will need all of us to start opening up apprenticeship opportunities. It will need all of the youngsters to look at the new national education policy and pursue their dreams, not necessarily follow the path which at our time was the norm. SSC karo, HSC karo, BCom या BA या LLB karo या B.Ed karo, teacher ban jao, lawyer ban jao. We went through a very different era. I remember my 10th standard marks naturally pushed me into science in 11th, much as I wanted to be a business person. Finance I knew was my calling in life. But you flow with the wind and you join Jai Hind College and start preparing for IIT entrance exam. And then 6 months later, fortunately, when it dawns upon the family also that may let him do what he likes, you start going to colleges and no college is willing to admit you into commerce. Halfway through they say come back in June and start from 11th all over again. That was the day and age when we were young. These are the experiences which prompted us for the new national education policy, which now gives our children all the elbow room, all the freedom and flexibility to pursue a career of their choice. I think skilled labor is not a problem of people not being available. The problem comes from people of the kind that you require, that you need to encourage to come in and work for you. A lot of people are looking for better jobs. I can tell you I started in North Mumbai in my constituency, a skill development center with the help of CII. Possibly the next one Assocham should take up. But CII helped me start that skill development center. They've already started training young girls to become cyber experts because cyber security is picking up traction. ITC has set up a whole hospitality center. There's a room, bedroom, there's a catering service, there's a kitchen, front office, where they're giving on-the-job training almost, the basic initial training before, after which they go into a hotel to get on-the-job training. The Apparel Skill Development Council has tied up with Singapore ITE and has brought the most modern machines to train youngsters. All of this is possible. And by the way, they set up a job development center where in the first 40 days, 3,000 people got a job letter in their hand. 40 days. So there's a lot of potential, both to get good people and to skill people. We will have to take a little bit of an extra leg forward. Government is willing to support. The 5 PM schemes have a budgeted outlay of 2 lakh crores. For skill development, money is not a problem at all. It's an effort that will have to be driven in a public-private academia partnership. And that's the way we'll be able to get high-skilled people. I must share with you, with artificial intelligence, with machine learning, with so many automation and new ways of working coming into the fore, we'll have to seriously reflect on newer and newer skills, reskilling first ourselves and reskilling the people of India to adopt modern technologies. It's something you can't wish away. It's there to stay. We will all have to be a part of this change. And I can assure you that on our side, all these issues that were mentioned, the challenges that were mentioned, are top of our agenda. I'll be taking back the issues that you've mentioned, particularly the slide that was put up. I also believe that some more specificities. What kind of problem do they face at the bank? Is too much collateral being asked? Suppose an ECGC cover is available, the Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. Do they still ask for collateral? What kind of interest rate do they charge when 90% guarantee is taken by ECGC in the event of any failure of export credit? After that, are they still insisting on collateral? Are they still overcharging? If we get that more specific feedback, then we'll be able to take it up with the bankers. And I can assure you that we are very keen. ECGC is looking at factor services also. But my own personal view is that being costlier, people will still prefer to go to the bank and take a loan. But we are open to the idea of alternate financing models. I like the point about raising awareness about government schemes. I think our universities can be one very good way to raise awareness. And Singh Saab, about the university, I think it will be best if instead of an MSME university, entrepreneurship is taken up as a course curriculum in all our engineering colleges and all our institutes of higher education. That would be the way forward. Also about townships, we are setting up 20 townships, industrial townships, 12 of which we announced only 2 months back, 2 or 3 months back. One is already started in Noida, another is coming up in Pali, one is coming up in Hisar in Haryana, Dighi near Mumbai, 2 in Andhra, one in Telangana, it's all across, one in Gaya in Bihar, it's all across the country. I'm happy to commit a particular area earmarked for MSMEs. Because without MSME, no large industry also will survive. If Toyota is investing 20,000 crores in one of our smart cities, industrial cities, at Shendra Binkin in Sambhajinagar, Maharashtra, clearly they will need hundreds of MSMEs in their support ecosystem. So I'll be happy to look at providing space for MSMEs in all of these 20 townships. I'm happy to talk to states to look at providing area. I'm also happy to commit that we'll examine whether we can give a concessional rate to the MSMEs to take land and set up businesses there. I've often toyed with the idea of ready-built sheds, but always fear that that will be a constraint. Today, building a shed or a factory premise is not very difficult, but everybody likes to tailor-make to their requirement, suitable for their work. So I would rather we let the person develop his own area. But there's a lot that is happening. I think a greater awareness through chambers and through engagement with all of you on different occasions. We can use webinars, we can use online engagements, we can do FAQs, we can do Q&A sessions for entrepreneurs across the country. At least in the Commerce and Industry Ministry, we have a daily video conference facility open to everybody for any problem you have related to export, licensing, any export procedures, any industrial licensing issue, whatever. There's a daily VC whose link is on the website where you can go and raise your issues, any issues about QCOs, any issues about GEM. There was a talk about GEM also in your report. I'd love to know what we can do. I can set up a separate session whenever you want, even today if you want it, where GEM officials will come and hear from you if there are any experiences. So lots we can do, but I would urge all of you to participate actively, because when we all get together, we can get much bigger outcomes, much faster outcomes, and impact business in a much bigger way. As I said, skilling will be one very important area. Quality is another area we'll all have to collectively decide that we are not going to settle for second best, both as manufacturers, as customers, or consumers. This country has to change its mindset to recognize high quality and sustainability as our calling card when we go out and engage with the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Very, very encouraging for the industry and many thoughts for them to ponder over as well. I would now request Shri Sanjay Nair to please present memento to Shri Piyush Goyal ji.
आपके लिए ये just as a memory for the wonderful work we've done. Thank you.
I request everybody to please remain seated. We are going to start with our next session immediately. I request everybody to please remain seated.